Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Blue Blood Season 10 finale reaction. This is episode 19, and the crazy thing is, apparently, unless Blue Bloods just shot weird and out of order, this wasn't going to be originally the finale. And yet, I feel like it's actually more impactful than the vast majority of real finales that this show has ever done.
This was such a good finale. There was so many different elements that all fit together perfectly. This is what I was really hoping for.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, we have a new Reagan that has been sort of brought into the mix. I think in the midst of all of our crazy Blue Bloods theories that we have all had, I don't believe any of us probably had pegged Joe Reagan has a secret son anywhere on the board going into tonight.
Not going into it, however, as soon as Sean sat down at that desk, I heard Matt from the other office yell out, "That's gonna be Joe's son!"
Well, okay. I'll explain what I was thinking, but before we do, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Also, in a little bit, we're going to have another video talking about Season 11 and what you could expect potentially from that. Okay, so here's the thing with this. I sort of saw, all right, they're talking about some sort of DNA testing, and Sean has found out that he's got some sort of cousin out there. It was just sort of like, all right, I don't think they're going to make it that Danny, who was, happily married man Danny for so many years, that would have completely changed his character. Mm-hmm. If Erin had some kid that she never told anyone about, that would have been a huge secret that really stayed with her for the majority of her life. It just felt like there wasn't any other choice than have it be Joe's, because Joe is dead and Joe is not there to be able to speak up on it.
Yeah, and I mean, the idea of bringing in Joe's son is really exciting because Joe is not there. So the idea of sort of Joe lives on through his son, and he's kind of this cool younger cop. I mean, it's cool. I like him. I mean, I'm really hoping that this is going to be a situation. I know this is a big cast. I know there's lots of stories already going on, but I really hope that we are going to see him more, that he's not going to just be kind of a one and done, oh yeah, and then there's Joe's kid that we never really see, that we are going to see him more. I don't need him to be there all the time, but I need him to now be there some of the time.
Let's talk all of this through, because my only fear is that we have a Cousin Oliver situation where we have the young, cool cop who is sort of there now to sort of make everyone else feel less cool, and we're all like, oh, we're all team cool Detective Hill. I don't know if this is going to happen. Probably not. But I think they have to feature this character more. He hasn't been a core part of the Reagans this whole time. I don't know if he's going to be an every family dinner sort of guy, but I think he's got to be there now, at least maybe 3-4 family dinners a season, if not a little more than that, because you can't shun him if you are the Reagans.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of shunning, my only bee in my bonnet with this whole thing was his mother. Mm-hmm. We have to talk about his mother for a second there, because what the heck? This woman ends up being with Joe, one night stand, okay, gets pregnant, it happens. Then you're gonna never tell him about it because you're fearful that this man is gonna want to marry you. Instead of just telling Joe and then saying, I don't want to get married, and then allowing your kid to have a dad in his life for as long as Joe was going to be around, because you know Joe was going to be there for that kid. He was going to be a good dad. The Reagans were going to be a great family around him. Why would you deny your son that? You want to marry Joe, but you're going to name your kid Joe. What? And then later you're only gonna tell the Reagans about it because you want a favor. Okay, we already know you're kind of shady because of what you did already. You've kept this kid in the dark about his family, his dad, everything. Now you're gonna bring it out because you want something. Then Frank's not gonna give it to you and you'll be like, don't you ever speak to my family again. we already know you're kind of shady, but you know what? Your son is 24 years old. What are you going to do about it? And that's the end of my rant. That mother...
I have a rant now too because this didn't really make any sense. If we're being totally honest, it just felt a lot like it was, okay, we need to find a way to add a little bit of drama near the end of the season. And I like the end result of it because I think it's fun to see Blue Bloods explore this family member they never knew that they had. Like, I think it's really cool. But it is totally weird that this woman named her kid Joe and then didn't clue in the actual Joe Reagan about it at all and never came forward and talked to the Reagans. Maybe she had some concerns and all that about what it would look like, but it is a situation where the Reagans are about as supportive as you're gonna find. And yeah, they may be somewhat set in their ways, and they may be kind of wondering, oh, Joe Reagan one night stand? This doesn't necessarily correlate to a lot of the Reagan sort of stuff that we've seen on the show, but they are loving people, they're accepting people. They would have welcomed this kid, young Joe, in with open arms to family dinners and giant sandwiches and angry debates and everything else you get at family dinner.
And it should still be his choice. Like, I understand if the dad was someone who's a bad guy or going to influence him in a really bad way or hurt him or something awful, but you're not talking about that. You're talking about Joe, and you're talking about the Reagan family, who are a bunch of good people. Like, I just don't understand the idea around this mother that wants to deny her kid both parents because you don't want to marry somebody because, what, Joe's not going to take no for an answer? Joe's going to force you down the aisle? Like, I think Joe will be like, all right, well, maybe I'll ask a couple more times and eventually I'll just stop. Like, it'll be okay.
Here's another sort of theory, and I'm sure we can talk more about this in the season 11 video too, is that we have not seen a lot of Jack and we haven't seen a lot of Nikki on this show in quite some time. Yeah. And with that in mind, is it possible that we're bringing in Joe Hill here as sort of a replacement, if you will, to add one more person to family dinner to just kind of make up for the fact that one of Danny's sons and also Nikki isn't there?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, I really do wish, of course, that Nikki would be coming back, and hopefully maybe if there's a next season, there will be a little more of her there. But I mean, again, the idea of like maybe a few episodes, 5 episodes for Joe, 5 episodes for Nikki. Like, I mean, you can have the table grow and change.
I think it's all right to have constant new dynamics. As long as the tone of the show is the same and you still have the core Reagans, it'll all be okay in the end. We're going to talk a lot about Jamie and Eddie. I only have like one major thing to say about the Erin and Danny storyline. Not that it was bad, it just didn't have the same weight to it as some of the other stuff for me. The moment where Erin calls Anthony family.
I know.
It's like, can Anthony come to family dinner too? I'm sure Anthony should just, I don't know, he's probably got like a lot of cool recipes. He's got some family he could bring all. Anthony for family dinner.
I also like, this is just the thing that I like about Anthony so much, and why I like the Anthony and Erin dynamic so much, is that he has no problem calling her out on her you-know-what. So right at the beginning where it's like, oh, it's okay for you to look into stuff for your family, is not okay for me, walk right out of the door in the face. I was like, woo, okay. So they're at that point in their friendship and working relationship that they are family, because that is something that would really happen if you are that comfortable with your family. So when she came back at the end, was like, you know, you're also family. I was like, yeah, that's right. That's what happens. You got the door slammed in your face, and that happens with family.
It does. I love all Erin and Anthony scenes. I hope we get a billion more of them next season.
I'll also say this. I really liked, and I have been saying this for like all season long, and they've done a little bit this season, but they did a lot tonight. They pared down the storylines by actually including more than one Reagan in on them, because we had, you know, Erin working with Danny and Baez and all of that together. So instead of having two separate storylines and kind of getting lost in the million storylines, we had a better storyline.
I think it was stronger just because it was all pared down, and I think it needed to be when you have something as big as everything that's going on with the secret son.
Yeah.
You got to give that story time, and if that means condensing Erin and Danny's storyline, that's fine, because they will each have their own really huge story down the road, and we got to see them interact, which is always fun, and I would be totally down for them to do a little bit more of this.
Yeah.
All right, it's Jamko time. They find a baby, and this leads to a lot of discussions about the future of Jamie and Eddie. We don't really have anything that I think is too conclusive at the moment, but I think we're at least put on a road where we could see Jamie and Eddie, I think, having a baby next season.
Yeah, I mean, we've sort of seen them circle around adoption before. Seemed like they were kind of circling around adoption again. I'm a big lover of adoption in general, so I was kind of hoping and thought they'd be really interesting, especially for the Reagan family, to adopt somebody and bring in somebody who's not actual blood into the blue bloods and have them be part of the family. And I thought that would be really interesting for this group and this dynamic and this family. But we did see, you know, at the end that mostly what this has done is this has really opened Eddie up to talking about having a kid and wanting a kid, and she was all down the hole with this kid. She had named this kid, like she was there. So when we got to the end and Jamie was kind of like, listen, I know how we can get a kid and it's going to be all ours and no problems, and she's kind of like A-okay, it feels like maybe they're going to be trying.
I think they're either going to be trying, or this was a really interesting way to bring up the subject of what Jamie was bringing up, given that there were people in the other room. But, you know, no matter what, I think they are going to try. I think so. I think they're moving in that direction. They've been married for a while. Granted, we didn't get to see the full wedding. I'm assuming that they're actually married.
Yeah.
I'm just taking shots. They're married. No, but I think that it's a good thing that they're going in this direction now. I don't think they have to have a kid to be happy, but it seems like it's something that they want. The funniest part of this to me was at one point Eddie saying, I don't know if you realized how invested I was in this. And I was just like, Eddie, you named the kid. The moment that you named the kid, it was very clear to everyone exactly where you were with this.
The other thing that I absolutely loved about this is that they didn't have them bickering. And I was worried for a minute when Eddie was going to go off and try to find this duffel bag, and she had some ideas, and she was already like feeling like he was going to try to stop her, because a lot of that has been happening this season. So to have that minute where Jamie was like, I'm not going to stop you. I thought we could go do this together. I was like, yes, okay, here we go. This is happening. And then seeing them out and sort of working the case together was cool. I loved it. It was all that amazing back and forth and sort of just that awesome chemistry that's been kind of missing since they got them married and then took them off from working together.
The thing that's been really the most fun, not just about this finale, but this whole week, is it just feels like the Blue Bloods cast, they must have really felt great about this episode, because they've been out there recording videos, having Zoom parties with each other. You got Tom Selleck with the Zoom background of the family dinner there. But it feels like they have been so excited about this show still, and I think it comes through in the work tonight. This had all the nostalgia with Jamie and Eddie. It reminded us of the golden era. Great stuff with Erin and Danny, the big family secret storyline. We may have some of a problem with the way that the woman kept the secret, but in the end, it's an interesting development that could shake up the show. Mm-hmm. Very, very good finale.
Yeah.
can we say infinitely better than the ending of last season where we got shut out of the wedding.
We just try to pretend that that didn't happen. We're just moving on and moving on.
All right.
Much better finale. Really good finale. I know this wasn't meant to be the finale, but it felt like a finale. And
It really did.
It's kind of interesting because this season, I mean, of all shows, everything ended early. A lot of stuff ended early. And there's been some of these finales that are not actually finales, and they were actually supposed to be other episodes, like on Grey's, where I was like, man, this ended up actually being a really good finale, even though it wasn't supposed to be.
They've done a good job of finding ways to make a lot of this work. This proved to be a good send-off to the season. It gives us a lot to talk about, and we'll talk about some of that in our Season 11 video, which you're going to want to check out soon. So let us know what you thought about the finale in the comments, and if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the link in the description to the store, and we'll see you here next time.